everyone, welcome to Digital Shift, where we discuss topics that will affect business, society and culture, as we want you to be better prepared for the future. If you see the shift coming, you can adjust to it. We've seen attitudes and mindsets changing regarding what the business is for. An often heard narrative is that the business is just for maximizing shareholder value. Now new companies are emerging with a business model built around a purpose.
Hi, Melissa. We welcome you warmly to Digital Shift. I'm June and Alan, we're the host. And first things first, we would like to ask you to introduce yourself.
So I'm Melissa Buch. I'm the founder of Brandbuch, which is a consultancy, which is an hybrid between branding, CSR, corporate social responsibility, and strategy. I was born in France, but grew up in Barcelona, studied in the US. My mother is from Morocco, my father from Argentina, lived in Israel, and now here in Switzerland, so a very international background. I have 2 kids. I was a partner for a big branding agency for a long time. Up to 2 years ago, I created the in and out methodology to help companies and brands put purpose at the center of growth. And we do that with clients around the world, internationally. And that's a very quick summary.
Okay, very cool. We are interested in the whole topic of sustainability, maybe also long-term thinking. So having a purpose, how much does this actually help the company grow?
You are asking the person that thinks that you cannot grow without a purpose anymore. So I would say, how important is it? It's absolutely critical. Of course, it's not the only thing you need, but I would say it's the first one. So what happened today is that there is a shift from consumers, there is a shift from talent, there is a shift from everyone, basically all shareholders, even investors, that are asking more from the businesses. Expectations have changed, no? And people expect the companies to stand for something beyond their product or service. And this before was very an additional thing to have. And today it's the only thing you need to be able to build the other things, no? So I would say many organizations realized that. Some of them were born already with a very strong purpose, like very famous one. The most famous one would be Patagonia, no? That everyone knows it was born in that way. But then you have many other companies which are shifting towards being purpose-driven or purpose-centric, and they understood how important is it. So the answer is there is no way to grow without a very clear, authentic, and relevant purpose today.
Okay. So greenwashing, is that possible or no longer possible?
I would say this is exactly what we are against, and this is the in and out methodology. So the in and out methodology is based in the idea that today we live in a window glass where everything you do in the organization reflects to the outside. This was not before like this. You had companies, consultancies that would help you part, and then communication or advertising saying whatever the consumers wanted. And this is exactly why we were born, because we don't believe anymore in that division. So whatever happens inside is what we need to leverage to the outside. And the greenwashing is exactly the opposite of that. It's basically thinking the same way as before and using the opportunity and using this as a communication campaign. And at the end, this is thinking that consumers are not smart, and they are. So consumers are very smart. Eventually, this is a very risky strategy for businesses. And most of the time, it ends up returning in a very bad PR manner to brands that try to do this greenwashing. So I think this was a trend a couple of years ago because companies didn't know how to do it. But I think now they understood, and the greenwashing is fading thanks to consumers, very demanding, and more authentic and relevant messages are coming into the world.
There was this example of Nike some times ago. They did a lot of greenwashing it was a very bad PR story, and now they actually was sustainable.
I mean, I think also the problem is like the lack of focus, like sometimes consumers expect too much from the brands and too much from the organizations, but you need to help them and set expectations in the right place, right? So it's both sides mistakes. Companies also do the mistake. I want to recycle, I want to commit to the planet, and I also want to help social injustice, and I also want to do this, and it's impossible. At the end, if you commit to too many things, you are nothing. And this was a little bit what Nike went through at some point, because they didn't really focus in their core purpose, which was always about related to sports, always about inclusion. So they had already very strong values that I think they tried to satisfy too much what the world was asking them. And this is why we always say, when we define the purpose, we always tell the client, this needs to be first authentic and represents and something you can stand behind. And it doesn't change ever, which means if your purpose statement is for something related to recycling, this is going to be your commitment to the world. And you're not going to go now and talk about inclusion or diversity and distract your consumers, no? So I think lack of focus is one of the problems, and one of the reasons why consumers get disappointed from companies if they don't commit to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, when we speak with younger people, you notice there's a very different attitude what the company is actually for. So
yeah,
the old attitude, company is for earning money. Point. Nothing more than that. So what do you think? What's the view today? What's a company for?
Yeah, we created this idea for that reason that you just say of we call it the perpetual circle of purpose, which is trying to explain to the clients, you define a purpose, then this purpose is going to actually bring you profit because people are going to relate to your company emotionally and they're going to create more loyalty, more sales. Then you take part of this money and reinvest it into purpose-driven actions, which grows your purpose, which grows your profit. No, it's proven today. There is data that backs up that purpose increases profit. And yeah, I would say you're right. I would say like traditional, call it companies, are still having a hard time to think that way. But today, I think they are almost forced to. They understood they have no choice. So even if they don't know how, or they are lost, or they don't understand what exactly it means, the thing of purpose, they know it's something they need to be on. So they try. This is where we come in. And also you need to think of huge companies, the biggest. Some of our clients are very big, others are more, but the very, very big, we are talking about 200,000 employees, or the very big companies. Imagine like you're telling them everything the risk it means for them to now do a shift, no? So sometimes they try to keep going as much as they can to see until where they can go. But yeah, I would say I'm optimistic that in 3 to 4 years from now, almost every company will be talking about purpose somehow, somehow, even these ones you're describing. And anyway, the new generations of talent, because at the end, the leaders are very related to that, right? Who is the leader of the company? And the new generation are already created this mindset since very long time, and they are the future managers of these companies. So purpose is here to stay, no matter what these companies are saying now.
Can you give us data that you were talking about, that purpose is really a major factor in the bottom line?
Yeah, I would say, 1 second, I will tell you the exact number because I have it here. I just don't know it by heart, but yeah, here, for example, like a recent analysis on purposeful companies by the corporate board suggests that purposeful companies outperform the stock market by 42%. This is an example in the stock market, which means that companies that have a purpose, they actually have a 42% higher value in the stock market than the other ones. And I mean, I can show you a lot of data, but you only have to write today purpose, profit, and what's the relation. And the numbers are amazing. Every year, there are a lot of reports showing that correlation. So every single company, McKinsey, all consultancies understand now the relation between purpose and profit. And yeah, our goal is to help companies exactly do that transition and understand that purpose is not about just nice and helping the world, but it's actually also helping them, you know. And this is sometimes what's hard to understand.
And can a traditional business then really transition into that new mode?
Yeah, I think that's what we try, and I think it can. I think there are a few ways to set it, and it's very simple, which is focus, like help the organization to focus. We get a lot of big companies that they heard that this is trendy now and this is trendy now, and they try to jump from one thing to another. So focus them is one of the most important elements. And the authenticity, we usually tell them, we are not going to create a purpose out of the blue. You have it in the organization. We're just going to highlight it. It's not something we're going to put into your organization. You need to have it already. If you don't, then it's not the right one, because it means you won't be able to stand behind it. So the only way for the organization to do that change is to use something that they are already doing, but they are not leveraging. So they don't have to do a transformation. They're using in things that until now were maybe not formalized or were not the focus of the company. And in all these big organizations, there is always a purpose there somewhere. So we just help them find it. Of course, if you tell these companies that now you need to change to something completely different or try to put a purpose that doesn't belong to them, it won't work. And this is when you disappoint the consumers. But yeah, I would say it's definitely possible. Many of these companies, like for example, Unilever, started purpose-driven brands. So some of the brands they launch now are for the planet, related to cosmetics, for example. And these brands are working much better than the other ones in terms of growth. They are growing almost 100 times more than their traditional brands. So wow, they realized, okay, there is something in here. So some of the companies, they try to do it bottom to top, especially the big ones. So they use the brands to leverage the purpose. Of course, when you have a smaller side, the ideal is top to bottom, no? But I would say very big companies are also doing that change.
This might be slightly different. Are you also looking at the relationship between purpose and business model?
Yeah, I mean, depends again. When we work with clients where we create something from scratch, yes, everything is born from the purpose. For example, we created a beer, which is called Be de Gust, which is a Catalan beer that is now selling also in the world, which is a social beer. No, so basically, each beer is each beer in the variety is destined to a specific social cause, and the idea is to basically allow people to enjoy life while answering to their environmental and social concerns. No, so I can have a beer, and at the same time, part of the money of me drinking that beer is going to a certain cause. So here you see where everything is connected, right? So we define the purpose, and the business model is directly associated to that purpose. But yeah, we created that brand from zero. So it was easy. Now, when you work with very big companies or companies that they already have a very established business model, what happens is that you need to give back to your purpose in a separate way at the beginning, like I told you. So I take some of these profits and reinvest it in the purpose. But what, yes, we force them to do is to make sure that in what they do today, basically the way they have today of making money, doesn't contradict the purpose we defined. If there is a contradiction or there is something that doesn't work in the supply chain or doesn't align with the definition of purpose, it needs to be changed, but not necessarily a big remodel of the business plan is always, business model is not always necessary.
So speaking with somebody else, he said the people who are doing sustainable companies and business models are actually very sophisticated people, because they don't only think about money, but think about several things at the same time. Is that something you see, or what's actually doing?
I never thought of the word sophisticated, but I'm sure many of my clients will be happy to hear that they are sophisticated. But yeah, I think it depends. I mean, you have, again, the generation and the size of the company, the social entrepreneurship, and many entrepreneurs today, young generations, for them is not even sophisticated. It's like something you have to have. They don't even ask the question, you know. It's like now in cosmetics, for example, the Gen Z, before the millennials, it was cool to be vegan, to be natural. For them, vegan and natural is like normal in cosmetics. Don't talk to me anymore about vegan. It's normal. You don't have to tell me. This is obvious you're vegan, no? So of course, when you have entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, they don't feel sophisticated. They don't know anything else. This is what they have to do, you know, and it's not even a question. So for them, this is the norm. When you go to big companies and another generation, there are, let's say, two groups. One would be the ones that really saw the value and how it can bring them profit. So they are still not sophisticated. They just think it's an opportunity. Okay, there is this way to make money. Let's use it, you know. And then there is, of course, the other ones that genuinely want to make a change. And what happens, and I see a lot, many leaders, there is a point where they need to search for their own purpose, or what's the point of coming to work every day, or why do I do this every day? And in this research of their own purpose, they end up impacting the purpose of the organization, because they want to make sure that their work means something beyond just the profit. No, so sometimes it's about a inner research that the leader is having, and this impacts the whole organization.
So the thing we see in Switzerland, for instance, we made a small project and it was for profit. And in traditional ways, it should have been an NGO in the old sense. But we thought it provides a value, and to make the value greater, it might be more interesting to make it for profit. Mm-hmm. But then we ran into the problem that you couldn't so easily raise money, because in that sector we were, would only give money to an NGO, not to a for-profit. But actually, if like purpose is actually good for even for business, so there might be like old ways of thinking, old ways our institutions are set up, which don't reflect that view. Mm-hmm. What do you see in that regard?
I also think that private and public institutions are at the end now aligning in the expectations the world have for them. Like before, for example, citizens would think like, okay, the government is here to take decisions on education or help a fight against poverty, right? And today, not really anymore. I don't even have expectations of the government, and I put these expectations in companies. Or before, I would think, oh, if I want to help kids in Africa, I will go to this NGO and this organization. Not anymore. I can actually do it through the companies I'm already a consumer. So public and private sector are starting to merge somehow. It's a gray area now. And, you know, we do, for example, volunteering programs for big companies. And this corporate volunteering is increasing significantly. Why? Not because organizations always want to save the world and give free time to their employees, but because the performance of the employees grows almost by 89, 90% when they do volunteering. So they realized, oh, if I give them volunteering, it increases performance. So I would say there is it's difficult today to categorize like before. I'm an NGO, I'm a company for profit, it's not like this anymore. Everything is like mixing together. And the responsibilities that the companies had are now merging with the ones that the NGOs have. And that's why also there are many now collaborations between them, like this corporate volunteering, they collaborate with NGOs, and NGOs are searching for help from the private sector. So I wouldn't have to choose between, are we for profit or I think we are both constantly. Mm-hmm. You cannot really help the society anyway, right? Now, how do you make that profit? And if it's through donations or something else, this is another question. No, but at the end, if it's through donations, the people that give you the money are your audience, but you still need to appeal through them with purpose. I mean, at the end, we end up all in the same place. Even for NGOs, what is their purpose? I need to make it authentic. I need to make sure the impact investors or the ones that are giving the money understand that.
Well, we asked you a lot of questions, and I'm sure we've missed something, and we'd like to know what question we should have asked you.
Yeah, I think one of the things also that is important is what makes a good purpose, you know, because it's very easy. Like everyone is talking about purpose and use it in many different ways, but a lot of people don't really understand what is it. They just write it on a PowerPoint slide. They're happy. Oh, here is my sentence. And that's it, you know? And many people confuse what's the real meaning of purpose or what it should be, no? So answering to that question, what I would say, and the reason why I say that purpose is the only engine for sustainable growth, this is something I say a lot, is when all the decisions you make in the business answer to this purpose. It's related to talent, it's related to selecting your suppliers, it's related to the way you sell, your media, it's affecting every single decision in the organization. And very few companies understand purpose in that way. Purpose, for example, at the center of a board meeting. Why? Because they are talking financial. Yeah, but in the financial decisions you take every day in the P&L, there are questions that you will be able to answer by looking at what did you write that day in the purpose, no? So what I would say is what defines a real purpose from a communication purpose, it's when the organization makes management decisions, financial decisions, talent decisions based on that, and knows how to say no, thanks to that purpose. And this happened in other businesses, like I gave of Patagonia, that decided at some point to stop selling the famous jackets they were doing for very big organizations, like very big tech clients. And they lost a lot of money, but they did it because they believed that this client didn't follow their values and their purpose. So they preferred to break the relationship with them. So they lost a lot of money in the moment, but it was a decision that was made looking at what they defined as their purpose. So this makes a difference between a real from a nice purpose to here. And I would say that's relevant for when companies want generally to look at purpose, they need to do it really wanting to make a change and affecting their whole organization, not only communications.
Okay. That's cool.
Super.
Yeah, because right now everything sounds like purpose is only skin deep, but it goes much deeper.
Yeah, that's why we mixed our and consultancy strategy and we are really an hybrid because we don't believe in the possibility to separate all these things anymore. So yeah, it goes pretty deep.
So I'm very happy that you gave us those statistics, that it's actually good for your company. So I see it as an extension that like people are kind of fed up of a world which is only oriented against money, and that's just not enough. It doesn't make you happy. So I think that's the deeper reason why this whole thing happening.
When I Google profit beyond purpose or something like that, I always have to think these are PR articles for companies who want to feel good or want their customers to feel good, and it sounds more like it's only skin deep. And today I've heard from you much more, much more reliable and understandable facts.
Yeah, but you need to think sometimes we talk about consumers like we are not consumers, but we are consumers. You are, I am, and we changed, right? You probably also changed. So at the end, we represent like we ones that create. Like I think today we have relations with brands and companies that are very emotional. They're almost like we are partners with the brands we choose, and we expect a lot from them normally most of the people know, and this changed everything. I'm pretty proud of the consumers because we managed to change to arrive to that point. It means consumers, we were demanding enough to change big organizations. This is the way it happened. Organizations didn't come to save the world, they just had to. Because we consumers changed. So
but the interesting thing, it's not the official narrative yet. So
definitely.
We asked you because if you ask other people, we say like it's obvious if a company has a purpose, it's better for them for the bottom line. Then the response is, can I take you seriously? Do you seriously talk about business? So it's the
because sometimes also they understand purpose as, this is another mistake. Of course, there is a link between purpose and sustainability many times, but not always. not always. Your purpose can be something totally different from sustainability. As I said, it can be about diversity and inclusion. It can be about many things like access to food and fighting poverty. So not necessarily sustainability is at the center. And sometimes this is a mistake, and it scares a lot of companies because they think they have to be sustainable to have a purpose. And no, I try to help them understand, no, like not every purpose is about sustainability. You can be fighting other things and it's fine.
Thank you for watching this interview. If you liked it, hit the like and subscribe button. This will help spread the word. You can find more interviews and events on our website. If you're looking for experts in product development, design, digital marketing or programming, let us know so we can connect you to our community. You can find more info on our website.